hate when I do that. I recorded a whole 5 minutes of this, and then I have to go back and redo it. Hey, what's up? Chris Redbeard Videos, and we're going to start this season off with something brand new, but not really. We're going to call it Fandom Files Follow-Up, and it's going to be about Kiss, because a month and a half ago, they did their final show. I have a lot of thoughts, but I did not have the platform to do so, so I'm going to do it here. So, Fandom File Follow-Up right now. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. There is a 4-part series called Fandom Files Kiss on my very channel here. If you're new here and you haven't seen it yet or you haven't had time to watch it yet, there's a 4-part series on Kiss Fandom Files. Card will be right up there. Boom, bop, right there. And that's where you can find that series. Click on that and go whatever. After you're done watching here, go watch that. I implore you. It's a really good series. It's a labor of love. I love Kiss. However, I watched the last show and I felt I needed to watch the last show because it was nostalgia for me. Even though I went to get to see the last show for free, and if you've been following me at all, you know that I did not want to pay for this shit show because of the myriad of reasons why I'm angry at Kiss since 2000, and I'll get to that in a moment. That's the second thing on my list. I want to start at the end. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to start with the avatars and my mixed bag of emotions from beginning to end on that.
1, 2, 3!
When it first happened at the end of the show, I was watching the pay-per-view, and my first thought was, what the fuck is this shit? Because part of me felt like they weren't going to retire. Like this was just a ruse. Like at some point they're just going to go, ha, just kidding. Another 6 months of touring. But that's not what happened. So then my second, when I saw what it was, my second thought was, oh, that's okay. It was a pretty cool cartoon. It was nice. You get a general idea that they're going to try and do an Avatar show or like a hologram show. Okay. Cool. So let's get into that.
New Kiss era starts now!
My third thought was a few hours later, and I felt cheap. I felt like it cheapened the last show. I feel like they should have released this as a documentary thing or whatever, or as a little advertisement online or on their webpage or whatever after the fact. There's no reason why those 20,000 people at MSG had to have the end of their show cheapened with a commercial. That's essentially what happened. They cheapened it with a commercial. Because those 20,000 people, with the exorbitant amount of money they spent to see that damn show, they were definitely going online to find, they're on Kiss boards on every single social media platform there is. There's no way they weren't finding this. So, what, is it because of the pay-per-view? Because of all the same thing. People who paid for the pay-per-view are going to find out. There is no average Joe schlub dropping $40 on a pay-per-view unless you're a fan of the band. And if you're a fan of the band, you're going to find stuff about the band, right? That's what you're going to do. So those were that's my triad of initial responses. Now with a month and a half in the rearview mirror, these are the thoughts that come through. Every time I look at them, they look a little cheaper. So granted, I'm glad that they're working on making them better. That's cool. What also bugs me though, it doesn't bug me. It's a concern. I hope that they do the right thing with this. If they do the right thing, which would be make it an over-the-top fucking insane show with these characters as they were portrayed, the demon and the star, and they all have powers and all kinds of wacky shit, but they're playing their instruments. That could be cool, given the right venue, the Globe in Vegas, or any IMAX theater, like giant IMAX theater with some kind of insane sound system, right? These are the types of things that you can do, right? Also, they gotta pick the right set lists. They cannot do what they've just been doing. And I don't want to hear Squeaky Paul and Old Gene. I I want them to come out and go, okay, we're doing the show at the Globe. It's a 6-week run. And what we're doing is 1977 Madison Square Garden Kiss show. But these are the pictures you're going to see set to that soundtrack. That shit would be dope. Or the 1980 Sydney show, the Australia show, which is highly regarded. Even some of the 80s shows, you could throw makeup on that shit. It doesn't matter at this point because now they're literal cartoon characters. Literally. So I don't care. So that whole thing about Ace and Peter, that no longer matters, okay? That no longer matters. I'm going to get to it in a minute because it slightly matters, but in general, it doesn't matter anymore. As a Kiss fan, I wouldn't care. For me, it would be like going to watch an awesome movie with this awesome soundtrack, and it's like the sickest special effects you've ever seen in your life. Sign me up. Absolutely, do that. But if they come out and it's Paul Stanley in his 80-year-old voice, squeaking away, doing his shit, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in Tommy Thayer playing guitar anymore either. And Eric Singer's the best drummer they got, so that's fine, I guess. But either way, if you're going to do this, you need to give me Kiss. You can't give me this new version. You can't.
10 o'clock, now I gotta hit the road. First I drink, then I smoke.
So what truly makes me angry about everything that's happened with this band and why they've been dead to me since 2000 is because they fucking lied from the beginning, okay? They lied. 2000 was supposed to be the farewell tour, not the farewell of the original lineup tour, which they've retconned and said that that's what it was. Also, why to this day, and we still don't have answers other than this fake bullshit, we know the real answer. But why couldn't Tommy and Eric put on different makeup? Do you really think the ticket sales weren't that significant in the by the time they were making Monster and Sonic Boom, they were sharing tours with people. They were sharing tours with Aerosmith. They were sharing tours with Motley Crue. They were sharing tours with Def Leppard. They couldn't headline anything anymore by themselves in this country unless it was, Topeka, Kansas or some small ass place or Madison Square Garden because that was home. But other than that, there wasn't. They weren't packing places. People weren't clamoring for Ace and Peter makeup. They wanted Ace and Peter. And they never got Ace and Peter again. And rightfully so. It sounds like they were difficult. To deal with. Fine. Then put different makeup on the guys. And I know, again, another retcon story. Paul Stanley says in his book.
Our U.S. audience hadn't dwindled by chance. It had dwindled because what we were doing no longer rang true. People were tired of what Kiss had become. With the new characters, we were one step removed from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, what the hell was Vinnie's Ankh about? Rather than keeping the original personas and images alive, we had become a ridiculous menagerie. What was next? Turtle Boy?
No, that is not what drove fans away. What drove fans away is you made shitty music choices. Now, I'll be the first person to admit that The Elder and Unmasked are amongst two of my favorite albums of all time of any artist. Go watch the Fandom Files Kiss. You'll understand. So I don't shit on those albums as bad albums, but I will shit on them as poor choices in the time that they were made. Okay? I agree with Ace Frehley. If they would have made Creatures of the Night in 1982 instead of The Elder, or 1981, 81, 82, whatever year that was, they would have been better off. They would have been much better off than making The Elder. Okay, The Elder was a poor choice when they made it. Fine, fair enough. Mistakes were made. They made it through. Okay, they made it all the way through to 2023. Okay, so no harm, no foul, done deal. But it makes me angry. It makes me angry that they propped up these two other guys as people who they were not. Tommy Thayer didn't even play the Ace Frehley stuff very well. Eric Singer, great drummer. I can't knock Eric Singer. And I can't knock Tommy Thayer. He's probably a decent guitarist. I'm not trying to shit on the guy. He's a bad guitarist. But he's not Ace Frehley. And so why put him in the makeup? Oh, well, the makeups are icons, blah, blah, blah. Really? Do you think anybody wants to see Paul Stanley, but not Paul Stanley? They want to see the Star Child? Does anybody really, as much as Gene Simmons frustrates me as a human being, do you ever think that I want to see anybody but Gene Simmons in that makeup? No. No, I don't. Not interested. Never was. They should have just taken the makeup off and continued as Kiss with Eric and Tommy. That would have been fine. Or they should have given them their own characters. That would have been fine too. Makes me angry, okay? And that's the cusp of it, because honestly, Monster and Sonic Boom being shit on a shingle doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter to me that the music was bad, because you know what? If they were to produce bad music, they produced some bad music in the 80s, and I still love them, okay? Half of the 80s output was dog shit, but I still love the albums for the most part, and I still love the band. So it didn't change anything for me. But this insult to Ace and Peter and to the fans, like we're fucking idiots, and those who defend this era, I'm sorry, you kind of are. What are you defending? What are you defending? If you defend the Tommy and Eric era, tell me in the comments, what are you defending? You can't defend the makeup. Like, it's indefensible. Are you defending their right to continue playing? Sure. I'm all for that. I am not one to begrudge an artist or a band to stop playing. But to me, it's insulting to the entire legacy of this band that I defend and that I love by putting imposters in there. It's awful. And as much as I enjoyed it, and I like when I saw them in May, I left my problems at the door. I left my problems with Kiss at the door, and I walked in and I said, I'm just going to enjoy this show, and I'm not going to criticize Paul's voice, and I'm not going to whine about, you know, how Gene Simmons looks like he's a melting crayon, and I'm not going to complain about Tommy and Eric being imposters. I'm just going to go and enjoy the show, and that's what I did. I went and enjoyed the show, and I had a great time, and I cried a little bit, and I had my nostalgia. I had my son with me. It was a wonderful experience as a whole, except for when he lost his phone in the mosh pit. Go look at the crowd surfing rant. I'll put that card up here too. A lot of cards in this one. A lot of cards. Season opener. You're getting a lot of the past. You need to go check out the past. A lot has happened. But anyway, that's essentially what pissed me off about this band since 2000. That and their insistence on them being the greatest rock band in the world. They're not even relevant. Nobody cares. It didn't make any noise. The final show made a little bit of noise because it was the end of a legacy and the end of a career. But it's still, at the end of the day, those of you who are defending this last 20 years of Kiss era, tell me this. In 10 years from now, what are people going to remember? Is it going to be Ace and Peter? Or is it going to be Tommy and Eric dressed as Ace and Peter? I'd be shocked if any Kiss fan in 10 years remembers the name Tommy Thayer. And I'm sure as fuck sure that no average rock fan is going to know who Tommy Thayer is at all. Unless he goes on to do something on his own, which is like top of the line. And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not shitting on Tommy Thayer. He's a decent guy, I'm sure. And he's a solid guitarist. I'm sure he's wonderful. Eric Singer, best drummer that band's ever had from pure skill. But they should have never, ever donned that makeup. And all they did, Tommy Thayer is not even part of the Kiss legacy. He's not. I don't care what any of you say. He's not. He's not part of the Kiss legacy. Eric Singer is. At least he's got his name on an album where you can see his face and you know who he is and you know he played it and you know, like, and it's a distinctive style. Revenge is a very distinct album. Carnival of Souls is a very distinct album.
Take it all, give it to me. Take it all, knock it to me. 'Cause you got nothing to hide, baby.
Tommy Thayer does not have that luxury. Just because he played on Monster and Sonic Boom, which they were trying to recapture old Kiss in the first fucking place. My God. So then the Ace Peter thing. Okay, so what was so egregious on all sides that you couldn't at least get them on stage for the last show or the last two shows? Come on, guys. I mean, I don't blame Ace and Peter. Those guys have their dignity. They need to maintain their dignity. But I mean, you mean to tell me, even if Ace was asking for $1 million or whatever it was, you couldn't pony up for the fans? For the fans, for the legacy of this band. No, you went off into the sunset with imposters and cartoons. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I give Peter credit for like burying the hatchet the night of the show. He posted something, I think it was on his Instagram or maybe Facebook or wherever, or maybe it was a media release. I'm not 100% sure. But he said that he felt like this was part of his night too, even though he wasn't going to be there. And granted, Ace is still out there doing his own thing, so he doesn't give a fuck. And all he did was motherfuck Paul and Gene the entire time. And I don't blame him. He's probably angry, and he should be. But at the same time, like, you had to have gotten them out there for the last show or two. At least play 2 songs. How do you have Eric Singer sing Beth on the last song? I understand he's playing piano. There was a moment during that show that I swear, up until the very last note of that song, that Peter was going to come out and sing that with Eric Singer playing piano. For some reason, I just thought it was coming. I thought it was coming, and it would have been at least something. It would have been like a bone. You would have tossed me a bone and then have him get behind the set or whatever, or just be on stage during rock and roll all night and sing along and fist pump with the audience or whatever. No, you couldn't do that. You couldn't even do that because that would have cheapened your show. Like, get the fuck out of here. So what would I have done for the final shows of the last tour? Well, here's the thing. I'm a big believer that Paul Stanley was definitely using backing tracks. So that's number one. And I don't begrudge him that. What I do begrudge him is don't talk shit about other artists that do the same thing or use computers or use kind of backing tracks for any other reason. Either it be backing vocals, backing tracks, harmonies, backing instruments, whatever the fuck they use. Don't begrudge other people's shit and then do the same exact thing yourself. Paul Stanley, you were on tracks. I've seen it. I saw it in person. I saw it on the video during the pay-per-view. You sounded fine. You had some backup. It's okay. Okay, because we all heard the difference from when you actually went out of box and when you didn't. There's a huge difference, all right? So, whatever. I can't begrudge him this, okay? Dude's fucking old, and he's still out there doing it. I give him credit where it's due. With that being said, putting that to the side, what I would have done for at least the last 2 shows, because you needed to make them special. How did you not make these last 2 shows special? How did you not make the last 2 MSG shows something that those fans can go with and go, dude, they whipped out this, or they played this, or oh my God, they played Let Me Know, or they played Mainline, or you did nothing. You did nothing but show us cartoons at the end. That's all you did. That's all you did. What I would have done is I would have done one of 2 things. The easiest thing to do would have been to play a half an hour longer show for the last 2 shows at Madison Square Garden. And in that final half hour, I would have picked 5 or 6 songs for each show that was slightly different and do those. That was completely not done on this tour at all. Because you know people were watching on pay-per-view as well. So not only, the theory, the rest of the cities that didn't get to see that, fuck them. Be special, your Kiss, for God's sakes. Oh my God, I saw it in Columbus, and guess what? I would not have been sad if I would have been watching the pay-per-view going, oh, they played Mr. Speed without me? Like, no, I would have been ecstatic. I would have been like, holy shit, they finally did something different. I would have loved to have seen the whole tour, or at least a sprinkling of shows, where they would have done 2 sets, 2 separate sets. Come out the first set, bring Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer, and do like the revenge set, or do like an 80s centric set for an hour. And that's when you bang out Tears Are Falling, and Heaven's on Fire, and Lick It Up, and All Hell's Breaking Loose, and all those Rise to It, and Hide Your Heart, and, Crazy Nights, and all that stuff. Like, Kiss is retiring as a whole, not just the makeup. They're retiring the whole shebang. So celebrate your whole damn career, will you? And then the second half, I don't know, show some documentary for like a half an hour, 45 minutes in between so they can get their shit together. And then bring the makeup guys out and do the makeup show. And then at the end, the encore, you bring Ace and Peter out. That would have been it. That would have satiated everybody. You wouldn't have had to pay the 80s guys that much. You think Bruce Kulick is going to sit there and ask for a huge handout? No. And somehow that fucking guy still respects you guys. Respects this band. I don't get it. It's like Bruce was completely ignored. Like, nobody's clamoring for Bruce. Don't get me wrong. I love Bruce Kulick, and I think he's great. I thought it would have even been good to bring Vinny out, but I understand why that didn't happen, because that dude's a head case. But regardless, like, wouldn't it have been nice? Wouldn't it have been nice to have Bruce come out and play I've Had Enough Into the Fire and pay homage to Mark St. John and his friggin' contribution to this band? Wouldn't that have been nice? So that's what I would have done. I don't know if you can do an entire tour that way, because that would have been a lot. But I think like the final 2 shows, or like the last like 10, or like one in LA, one in like, I don't know if Kiss has a big Canadian fan base, but like one in Toronto, one in Chicago, and then the 2 New York shows or some shit like that, right? Do like a handful of shows like that. But no, you couldn't do that. You just had to play the tour out the way it was and have the last show be exactly like the one I saw 6 months ago. Brilliant. So looking forward, what do I think? Do I think this is really it? Yes. Yes, I can't imagine. I don't think it's impossible. Kiss is the epitome of corporate music. That's what they are. The epitome of corporate rock and roll. And if there's money to be made, they're going to figure it out. I think this Avatar thing is the closest thing you're going to see to them anytime soon. I really don't think they're ever going to come back out again. I think Paul and Gene may do their own things at some point, but I'm not 100% sure either. Gene Simmons did seem awfully pissed off that this was over. He didn't seem happy. But regardless of that, if they do come back, I'm not going to watch. Okay? If Kiss the band, if Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons go out on that friggin' stage one more time with makeup on, I think you should call a home. I think they need to be locked up. I think dementia has set in at that point because, good Lord, man, let it go. You're not 25, 35, even 45 or 55 anymore. Time to move the fuck on. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm finally putting Kiss fully to bed. I'll still listen to them. I'll still do shows for other people on their podcasts or whatever. But as far as content on my channel is concerned, the only thing you might possibly ever see is if I go to see one of these Avatar shows, I may go on and see that. I'll obviously, if it comes up during live streams, that's fine. But I'm not dedicating any more video essays or videos to Kiss anymore. This is it. I'm done. This was my Fandom Files follow-up. I want to hear your comments now in the comment section. I also want you to like and subscribe and ring the bell, please. And go watch the other Kiss videos. I have a few. I have 4 called Fandom Files and all the other stuff that's on here. And check out my social media places. On Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, it's Redbeard Videos. On Discord, on Reddit, it's Redbeard Videos. On Snapchat, it's Chris RB6. And until next time, I want to thank you so much for being here with me, as I so much enjoy being here with you. And we'll catch you right back here on Redbeard Videos soon. Bye.